So today we get the first of what are commonly referred to as the O antiphons. Is that something familiar to you? The O antiphons, maybe the more traditional Catholics here. They should be familiar because they're all recounted in the song, O Come and Come Emmanuel. And then we go line by line, essentially, through these O antiphons that originate all the way back in the 8th century, so the 700s AD. And they're really, really beautiful. But the one we have today, because each of them is a descriptor of the individual, the Messiah who is to come. The one we have today describes him in terms of mercy, that he as a king will be merciful to the poor. And so that is the theme that we see throughout the readings today. And I just want to briefly touch upon that so that we can draw truths for ourselves. So we begin with the book of Genesis, where Jacob, whose name becomes Israel, is giving blessings to all of his 12 sons. And today we're only hearing about the blessing that comes to his son, Judah. And the reason this is significant is because it's to Judah exclusively that his blessing has royal overtones. Remember, this is in Genesis. Israel doesn't have a king until their first king, Saul, which is long time after this. But he says, the sons of your father shall bow to you. Like a lion's whelp, you have grown up on prey, my son. He crouches like a lion recumbent, the king of beasts, who would dare rouse him? And then here you go, ready? The scepter shall never depart from Judah, or the mace from between his legs. So that's that's imagery of really a family of kings. There's a royal lineage. Then you hear this translation that's not great. It says, while tribute is brought to him and he receives the people's homage. In the Hebrew, it actually says, the scepter shall never depart from Judah or the mace between his legs until he who is to come comes. Well, who is that guy? We don't know. And then the next line will say, and the obedience of the nations will be given him. So that's why this line is so significant, particularly in these final days of Advent where the church goes into immediate preparation for the coming of who is going to be a king. And then the psalm we heard today, Psalm 72, is a royal psalm. He shall govern your people with justice and your afflicted ones with right judgment. The mountains shall yield peace for the people and the hills justice. So his reign is going to usher in an age of peace. He's going to finally govern his people fairly, and he's going to be one who is obedient to the laws of God, and he's going to exercise authority with a tenderness, which is something that we all sort of pine for because we suffer under unjust rulers all of the time. That theme, though, of royalty picks up also in the gospel, but takes on more tones, if you will. So it says the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Few comments about that. The language, the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ. Matthew, who's writing to a Jewish audience, is adopting the language of Genesis chapter 5, where it says, the Genesis, the book of the Genesis of Adam. So if you're a Jew and you hear the book of the genealogy of, you think it's going to say Adam, and then surprise, it's Jesus. The point being that God is going to reconstitute creation. So this is where mercy is coming in. The Jews and their relationship with God, it's weathered, it's tired, it's broken down, it's been beaten up by infidelities and exiles and all kinds of mess. And God is going to rebuild everything from the ground up. There's a mercy here. But instead of it being Adam, who's going to be the first person of this new order, it's Jesus Christ. But then he says, the son of David, which immediately puts him in the framework of the royal family. This king is not only going to be a just king, a merciful king, that mercy is going to be realized in that he's going to restart everything. Israel is going to become a virgin again, a virgin people. And he's the son of Abraham, so in him is the fulfillment of the promise. And the lineage that then flows from that demonstrates that very point. Because in here, maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't, there's 4 women that are included, which is a surprise because in Jewish genealogies, the men alone matter because it's your patrimony that they're trying to make the point from whence you come. It's not really your family tree as much as it is your patrimony. So to include these women is a bit shocking, but what you notice about the women is that they are Gentiles or have Gentile connections, and they have some pretty rough pasts. Like Rahab ran a brothel. She's a prostitute, and she's part of Jesus' line. Bathsheba was not a prostitute, but is part of Jesus' line through adultery. Not that it's her fault, but it's David's fault, but it's a messy origin story. And yet what God does is he uses all of this mess, all of this sin, and in his mercy orders it all the way till it becomes part of the plan and leads to the birth of the Christ who is the King. Okay, well, if God can do this throughout all of history, then what can Jesus Christ, who's going to be born, do with your life? He can take all of your sins, all of your mistakes, all of your character defects, all of your weakness into himself, and he can make it as part of the plan. And in fact, that is the plan. And he intends to do that very thing. This is the King who is to come promised in Genesis. This is the God whose love for us spills into time and particularly into each of our lives. And it takes the flesh of this child who is going to appear in a little over a week. And for that, we can rejoice as a people, for that is the hope born of the promise that we receive today.